What is up, everybody? I'm NoLucksGiven, and today we are going to be taking a look at a game where I give all of the characters in my shop massive buffs. I think this is the biggest that I've ever been able to buff up my shop. So a really sweet game. Let's take a look at how we get there. We're going to be starting by picking up a crafty and a free roll, locking on to another crafty, which is great, and I'll go ahead and cast this shrink spell here as well. And from that point, I'm just going to pick up Tiny. I know that next turn I'm going to pick up both of the other two units in my shop, and then just pick up one more unit. So Tiny is probably just better on average than picking up another crafty here, unless it like gets attacked into by a black cat or something weird like that, which is possible. We are playing up against Wonder Waddle, and they actually do have a black cat, but this would have they would have beat us here regardless, so doesn't really matter. And then on turn 3, we'll pick up crafty and a minotaur, and then I'm gonna forbidden fruit and roll. I don't actually really care for any of the characters that are in my shop, and I wind up rolling into a crafty. Now, we do have two dwarves here, and Deepstone Mine is also going to work a little bit better with crafty, and you don't really need treasure map on Horde Dragon, but there's also just something so sweet about picking up an early over-leveled treasure, especially with Horde Dragon. A treasure map tripling on a 3 means you get a tier 6 treasure, so that can just be absolutely massive. So we're going to try to get some silly things going. We could complete a treasure with Brave Princess. That is definitely an option. And then some other potential plays here too. We could just pick up Kitty Cup Purse or the Sherwood Shore Shot. I don't hate the units that are in this shop though from here either. Like Water Wraith is a perfectly fine and capable unit. So I'm not sure if I lock onto that, but basically just really hoping that we can connect with this Brave Princess. This game is a little bit interesting, like with the Dwarven Mine. Maybe I should have just made the safer tempo play, just give myself +4/+4 on the board. That could have definitely been better for us, and we'll see how that works out for us later into the game. Unfortunately, we're not going to wind up getting the Slay from Brave Princess, so a little bit annoying. Okay. I didn't lock on to the Water Wraith, but I did remember picking up a Water Wraith this turn. So yeah, that makes a little bit more sense. I didn't think it was like super strong worthy enough to lock onto, but definitely still a reasonable unit here, especially when we can pick it up with the Shadow Assassin and the Candy Rain. So this is looking pretty strong. I'm going to reorder this board a little bit because I want to put units on the sides of Water Wraith that will actually die, and the crafty and the ranged unit aren't super likely to die in combat. So I think that this is ultimately better for the Water Wraith, arguably slightly worse for the Brave Princess, but it is going to get a Slay regardless there, and then Water Wraith does get some nice bonuses as well. So this combat works out really nicely, getting a win and staying strong here. And then I don't hate Vampire. I don't hate, in general, just picking up some more tier 3 units. I think that Vampire plus Wicked Witch looks pretty strong here. There's also Mix-a-Wizzle plus Vampire, which gives me the incentive to roll and try to hit a Vampire this turn. It's a little bit silly, but after we free roll, we actually do find the Vampire. Now, we have to sell 3 things for it right now because this Vampire is Mix-a-Wizzled. Like I said, this one gets a little bit silly. I could definitely see selling off the Brave Princess at this point, but I just decided to sell off the Water Wraith, still keep the Brave Princess dream alive, and that gives me Embiggening Stone, and that is partially how we are going to kickstart having such huge shops. Then I sell off the Brave Princess, and I do briefly lock the Sherwood Shore Shot before selling it back. I think that I should have locked that shop, though, because then I could have picked up some cheaper units and then maybe one more expensive unit next turn. But this combat goes great for us. We win, we get some slays, we get some scaling, so all of this is very good. We see a pair for King Arthur, but I don't really think that's the direction that I want to pull in. I think I just want to focus on units that make use of their stats. Mummy is going to be a great example here. Ranged units are going to be a great example here. Greedy? Well, it's a little greedy, but it seems like it could be a lot of fun to just have that already have +10/+10, get some additional gold from that, and then locking onto this shot because Court Wizard seems just very, very good as a ranged unit. Anything where you get to use those stats multiple times, and I'm thinking that I will probably pick up Lightning Dragon as well. One, just to start to pick up more tier 4 units, pick up some higher tier treasures. I don't really think Lightning Dragon makes multiple use of its stats in the same way a ranged unit does, but a lot of times backline units like you see here, they're support units, they're ranged units themselves, so it can actually be very useful to take care of those with a Lightning Dragon that is larger and can get in some multi-attack. So I'll wind up picking up the Lightning Dragon, and then I don't hate kidnapping here, but I am going to wind up rolling, and I roll into a pretty sweet shop with some more units that definitely get some benefits out of their stats, namely the doubly, getting double use out of any stats that we put onto it through Embiggening Stone, but it's really hard to pass up a pair on Horde Dragon, so I'm eyeing up what two things can I sell, and I do wind up selling off my King Arthur. In hindsight, I think that was a mistake, and I should have sold off the upgraded Vampire, as silly as that sounds, just for the bonus attack there, but I pick up a Horde Dragon, we're locking on to another Horde Dragon for next turn, and then I'll have to think about if I want the doubly. I don't think doubly is a super long-term unit, so I'm a little bit back and forth on it, and we'll see what I wind up doing here, but Feasting Dragon is going to wind up getting a slice, so does Vampire, so it's not the worst thing to have stick around here, and then Mummy is going to wind up doing some double duty as well there. So pretty nice stuff. We'll pick up another Feasting Dragon, and then, like I said, I'm considering the doubly, but we already have enough okay units. I'd rather roll. I do like Polywoggle, and at the point where I'm picking up Polywoggle, we're going to be a little bit lighter on gold, so we can just Candy Rain and then give +1/+1 to 3 units here, +2/+2 to doubly. At that point, I do think that it's probably worth it. I'm going to keep these Polywoggle on the bench for the time being as we are about to rank up next turn, and then you'll see I briefly lock onto the River Wish Mermaid. It is good for Court Wizard, it's good for Lightning Drake, it's good for Feasting Dragon, but we're about to level up, so I'm thinking that maybe we can do some better things, and I'm not going to care about that as much. But yeah, Feasting Dragons, just with that +10/+10 from the Embiggening Stone, are going to be quite large, but Wonder Waddle also quite large themselves with a huge Hercules here to start things off. We are going to be able to take it down with our doubly though, and then we'll even get in one more sleigh with our Feasting Dragon. So stuff is going very, very well for us since we picked up that Embiggening Stone. I think we were 26 health when we picked it up, and we're still 26 health now, so pretty sweet. Pick up another Feasting Dragon, a little bit larger, could potentially help us roll for a tier 5 treasure because it is a pair, but I'm definitely interested in picking up another Polywoggle. We could have an upgraded tier 6 unit with +30, or even more, as my units right now have like, I don't know, what do they have? They have +13, so really nice stuff going on there. I am going to go ahead and lock onto the Feasting Dragon, and then I do believe I will put these Polywoggles in before the combat starts because it is 5.0. So I don't really need to get super greedy and roll for the like upgrade on the Polywoggle. This should be good, and our board is still really, really strong right now. Might even be too strong. That our Polywoggles, actually the Polywoggles should be able to get to attack here, but just some really awkward combat RNG. We don't slay with either of the Polywoggles, so I knew that they didn't slay, but it was just that my opponent had some nice breakers there with the math. Now, what we could do here is pretty cool. We could Ambrosia and then throw an Ambrosia in the Polywoggle slot, and if it slays, then it will permanently be an upgraded unit. So that's pretty cool and definitely something to potentially play into. And I'm going to give the Polywoggle in the last position here a Luna's Grace as well, just to give it a little bit more odds of slaying. But an upgraded Feasting Dragon, 4753, quite large. That'll definitely continue to slay and continue to just allow us to scale throughout the rest of the game. Definitely one of my most powerful Feasting Dragon games that I've ever had, and just a really fun one all around. So this Trophy Hunter is looking to make Puff Puffs work. Unfortunately, their Puff Puffs aren't going to be big enough. I guess that one is, but the rest of their Puff Puffs are not big enough, and actually we take them out before either of our Polywoggles get to attack. I knew that happened on one combat too, just messed up the ordering there a little bit. So a little bit awkward, but we are on 5.2, next turn 6.0, 19 health, Horde Dragon. Feeling pretty good. Could consider taking some Time Flies, though it is also just tough to make room for everything that we have in our hand. And speaking of making room, the Ring of Rage would be an improvement on this board, but we only have room for one more treasure, and we've got some other pairs. I know that I am not going to want to just I'm not going to want to keep that Ring of Rage around for too long. And same thing here, similar logic. I know that whatever treasure we pick up just isn't going to be sticking around for too much longer. So we're just more benefited from skipping the treasure and actually making some use of that cash. And speaking of cash, we will play our Greedy again this turn, and then I'll probably just Candy Rain and roll down here for the rest of it, as next turn we will be on 6.0 and can maybe do some even sweeter stuff then. So Polywoggle is going to slay, and that's going to turn into a Lordy. So things are looking a little bit dwarven, and if dwarves are going to continue to be strong, it might be worthwhile to go into dwarves. I skipped the Dwarven Forge earlier. I'm not going to pick up anything like crafty though. I really just want another Lordy. I'm not even interested in this Angry. Maybe that's a mistake because it does have so much additional stats, but I'm thinking I really want to try to find a Lordy or some more doublies and make use of that Ambrosia slot that I have as well. So Staff of the Old Toad will help us find more Lordies or potentially Echo Woods. It won't help us find any doublies, but I think that we're good with the doubly that we have. I would potentially pick up Greedies here too. I think that Greedy plus Lordy can be a pretty reasonable combo. And then I'm going to lock and then pick up this Baba Yaga, and I will unlock this shop before the turn is over, but Baba Yaga's great here. It's got so much additional stats. It's a 22 power ranged unit, so it's already pretty strong, and then it's just going to continue to make us even stronger with the Feasting Dragon getting to double slay here now. So pretty massive stuff. My opponent does have a massive Shoulder Fairies, so this combat is looking a little bit close, but we will take the win here with our pumped up Baba Yaga. So things are looking good. And then I'm thinking about trees. We have the Ambrosia. We also have a ton of stats on both of our trees. So I wind up picking up Ashwood Elm here, and I still go back and forth on whether or not this was a mistake. Also, like these Angries, should I just be picking up those more? Should I be selling off something other than the Greedy? Like, should I just sell off the Court Wizard here? Though, I thought that the Court Wizard could be good. We give it a little bit of additional stats when we throw it in the Ambrosia slot, so that's just kind of an interesting part of what's going on here. And then Hercules getting a trigger off of Court Wizard. I do debate putting Hercules in the Ambrosia slot itself, so that way Herc is above 50, and will be able to connect with the treasure in 2 hits. But ultimately, just going to wind up putting it on the front line. If we can find a way to give it plus I don't know, just a very little bit. I guess it needs plus 10. It's still a little bit off, but maybe there's a way that we can make Hercules activate next turn. Definitely something to at least consider, but we're definitely still seeming strong enough right now. And now we get to play up against the Ghost. I do think that Lancelot is worth taking here. It's just a free tier 6 treasure on Horde Dragon because we are so big. Hopefully Hercules can get a little bit of damage in. It will need to connect twice, so it's a little bit awkward, but I do think it could be good. And at this point, I'm rolling past the Greedies. I think that we can do better than that. I would potentially pick up a Lordy. If I find a Lordy at any point, I would potentially pick up that, and I think that's enough to move into Dwarves, but just the one Lordy don't impress me much. So we'll see what else we can find here, and really hoping that Hercules can connect twice. We're going to get the tier 6 treasure, so that can be something really fun. That can potentially replace maybe the Ambrosia. Ambrosia's a little bit awkward at this stage of the game, but we shall see what happens. Hercules, unfortunately, only going to connect once here, but we do still get the treasure from the Lancelot, and because we are playing Horde Dragon, that's going to be a tier 6 treasure. So that will be really, really good for us, though what isn't so good for us is we actually wind up getting a little bit unlucky and losing this combat, 84% to win this one. But we get our tier 6 treasure, and we can do something really cool here. There's a good boy in the shop, a good boy in our hand. We can use Mimic Chest to double up on our Embiggening Stone so that everything in the shop has plus 33, plus 33. And that is just going to be really, really fantastic with good boy. So I'll go ahead and pick that up, and now we've got a lot of really good potential options to actually win this game. Hercules could give us a fantastic tier 7 treasure. We could find another good boy, which would give us a tier 7 treasure, as well as an upgraded good boy with just massive, massive stats. So both of those things are really, really cool, as long as we can just stay alive here. I will go for Merlin's test on the good boy, and then I'm also considering just putting one more good unit onto this board. Soul Attack is about the same stats as the Feasting Dragon, and will also be able to protect our Court Wizard in the back line, and we could need that ranged unit in order to actually get a win here. So a lot of really cool options. Unfortunately, we are going to get our Hercules Pigomorphed. It isn't a huge deal, but it will be a huge unit that my opponent is able to take out. My good boys are going to be able to do some nice work, though, so that part of it is sweet. Though we need this lance to get attacked into. Instead, the Court Wizard gets attacked into, which means that it doesn't ever get a bonus attack, and we actually wind up dying. So a little bit unfortunate, but there was still a lot that could have gone right in this game. And overall, I just thought it was a really sweet game. I have never been able to make shops that were that big. This 35, I guess we did give it a, oh no, we didn't give it a Merlin's test, right? Because we lost the combat. So that actually just was a 35 good boy, and just some absolutely massive stuff going on there, and a whole lot of fun. So that is going to be it for me today. Hopefully either tomorrow or the next day I'll have some videos on the new patch. It is a little bit awkward with uploading at noon. I'm not sure when I will be able to get you guys the patch review. That will either, maybe it was yesterday, but it's probably tomorrow that you will get a patch review, and then I think from there on out it should be videos on the new patch, because I don't really have too much of a backlog this time from not playing as much this month. But that is going to be it for me today. Thank you guys very much for watching. Hopefully you had fun. That's going to be it for me. I'm NoLucksGiven. Peace.